What's up, guys? I'm back here at Lee's Cycle in San Diego, one of our dealers. And today, I've got a 2024 Ducati Panigale V4 on the dyno. The 2024 V4 has a litany of new features, including the new ECU style, which has a lot more resolution, a lot more electronic function. There's a lot more to this bike now than there was when it first came out, even though it looks the same with that 1103cc engine. What we're gonna do today is make sure we baseline this bike, then we're gonna run our mod files, and then we're gonna compare those mod files to stock, and we're gonna compare it to the 2021 SP we had on the exact same dyno. Let's do it. All right, and we are done. Now let's go ahead and see those numbers. We've got original right here, and we've also got tuned. So our original file, now of course, I've told you guys this in the past before, but our original file, you need to make sure you run it a few times. Now this bike was already warm. You can see right there, it's run file 2, so it's the third time I ran it. You can see it was repeating a number. It was running approximately 202 peak rear wheel horsepower right there, whereas we've got 91 wheel torque. And for our mod file here, now you can see the numbers here, it's almost 10 wheel horsepower, but that's not the whole story, of course. We've got a whole bunch of power up here, extended red line, so we got a wider power band, and we're almost 20 wheel horsepower up top. We're talking red line to red line now, not just peak to peak, because peak to peak isn't the whole story. Even down here, we're gaining some power. Now, of course, this does have an Acura on it with no mapping whatsoever. It's just running the stock mapping, so this is what we get right here. And we're looking at, that's 7 wheel horsepower right there, just down low, where obviously we're running a little bit lean with the stock mapping. Also keep in mind that all of these runs are done in 5th gear, not any other gear, just 5th gear. Now, even with the stock mapping here, you can see we really start separating out here at about, almost 8,000 RPM. It starts separating and carrying over that stock number the entire way on torque and in horsepower. I mean, it just kind of runs away from this entire map right here. Now, if we're gonna take this and compare this, and let's say, I didn't really do any second gear comparisons. I could sit here all day with this stuff, but second gear, for example, is almost 50% restricted in second gear. And you're looking at, it gives you about 80% in 6th gear. So it's pretty wild how restricted this new model is and what we can do to uncork it, basically. And we give you that 15,000 RPM red line right there. Now, of course, these new models, they're restricted gear by gear, but we have access to every single gear and the red line for every single gear. Now, if we were gonna take these maps right here and compare this against the SP, so let me take this and let me take out the original, hide that one. Now what we've got here is we've got the SP at 207 on the blue line here, and we've got the green line, which is, of course, our 2024 V4. And now look at this. This is crazy. So a 2021 SP1 versus a base model Ducati V4 from 2024. Look at those changes right there. And that's 8 wheel horsepower right there. There is about 5 wheel torque, and it carries all the way. It starts coming up about red line right there, where you can see where it kind of merges together, almost exactly the same power. Only a few. Peak to peak there, we're only dealing with about 4 wheel horsepower, nothing crazy. So how does a base model V4 compare to a V4R in the same dyno? Let's check her out. Now you can see the real difference here. Now, I've always said this in every single video I've ever had, which is, hey, a V4R, this is a track bike. It is not for the street. If you are taking your bike on the street more than you are on the track, get a V4. Get an SP2 if you just like spending money. but there's no point in having a V4R for the street. Look at this. The power numbers are absolutely insane. Look at that. It's so much power. It's almost 50 wheel horsepower. It's absurd how much we're missing in the mid-range here, but the V4R has such a wide power band, it's absolutely awesome for the track. To see our full V4R review, click on the top link there on the right. And we also have our full review for the SP1, which you can also click there on the top right. With more resolution in the ECU and more control over what we can actually tune on the bike, we actually have better tuning available now for the newer models than we ever had before. We can also ensure the 4-cylinder mode stays on at all times if you'd like, or if you'd like leave it stock, you can leave it stock too. We have complete control over that as well. And the RPM limit, of course, we can move up to 15,000 RPM like we did here on this bike, or we can leave it stock if you'd like. Honestly, there's a lot more capability on this V4 than I've ever seen on a V4 before. I think this bike is awesome. I wish they'd kind of refresh the looks, the TFT. There's a few notes I've got for Ducati, but as far as the way this bike feels and performs, second to none right now. All right, so that's gonna do it for the dyno on the 2024 V4. I'm gonna get this thing home. I gotta be really careful here. If I actually hit that mirror too hard, everyone knows that owns a V4. This thing will literally come right off the bike if you sneeze at it or look at it wrong. But I'm gonna have a blast on the way home with this thing. Gotta get back to the owner tomorrow, and I will see you guys in the next one.